Why did flying saucers appear over the Thornfield Genetics Research Facility? Have the space invaders declared war on the people of Earth? Listen to the exciting details to learn how Nathan succeeds in repelling this invasion. It was a surprising journey. Commander Nathan Dean woke up to the sound of a faint buzzing, jumped out of bed, yawned and quickly walked to the door of his apartment. He pressed a small button next to the door, which lit up a holographic screen above it. Nathan examined the face displayed on the screen and said in a sleepy voice, "Good evening, Lieutenant Sawyer. Do you know what time it is now?" Lieutenant Sawyer smiled and replied through the microphone located below the camera outside the house. "Good evening, sir. It is now 3 a.m, and I wouldn't have come to you if it weren't for the order from Commander Briggs herself." Nathan raised his eyebrow in surprise and pressed another button next to the screen, causing the door to open quietly. Lieutenant Sawyer saluted respectfully and said to Nathan, "I apologise for waking you, sir. I have an order from Commander Briggs to take you to the private airfield in Farnborough, where an aircraft will take you to the Thornfield Genetics Research Facility in the Scottish Highlands." Without exchanging another word, Nathan walked to his room, quickly put on his clothes, and soon got into the rocket car that Lieutenant Sawyer had brought. As he skillfully drove through the empty London streets, Sawyer said, "Commander Briggs will inform you herself about the purpose of the trip, sir, through a highly secure video transmission inside the aircraft that will take you to Scotland." Nathan fell silent, thinking about this potential mission. This time, his knowledge about the Thornfield Genetics Research Facility was limited. All he knew was that this facility was researching the possibilities of hybridizing specific animal species with others, or removing specific genetic traits from a creature, or adding other traits. In short, it was focused on what is called genetic engineering. And Nathan's knowledge of this science was limited, even though it had emerged since the late 20th century. Nathan noticed that the car stopped in front of the entrance to the private airfield. Lieutenant Sawyer handed a blue card to the security officer at the gate, who placed it in a special device. The device soon lit up with a faint green light. The security officer took the card and returned it to Lieutenant Sawyer, saluting him. He touched a small circle in front of him, and the gate to the private airfield opened. The rocket car drove inside and quickly stopped in front of a small helicopter prepared for takeoff, its jet engines emitting a low whistling sound. Commander Nathan got out of the car and approached the helicopter. He turned back before boarding to Lieutenant Sawyer, who smiled and saluted, saying, "Have a successful trip, sir." The helicopter rose vertically and then surged forward with its nuclear propulsion toward the destination. As Nathan fastened his seatbelt around his waist, the pilot's voice came from the front cabin saying, "Welcome. Our destination is the Thornfield Genetics Research Facility, which is located in the Scottish Highlands, in an area called Thunder Valley. It is 230 kilometres away from us, in the heart of the Highlands." The pilot paused for a moment, and then continued in a different tone. "Please press the small yellow button in front of you, sir. There is a secret message from Commander Briggs. I will cut off the connection from the control cabin." Nathan pressed the yellow button, and the image of Commander Helen Briggs immediately appeared on a small screen in front of Nathan's face. He listened as Commander Briggs said, "Hello, Commander Dean. Your destination this time is the Thornfield Genetics Research Facility in Thunder Valley, in the heart of the Scottish Highlands. And your mission this time is somewhat strange. First, tell me what you know about flying saucers." Nathan fell silent, gathering his information, and then said, "They first appeared after the end of World War II in the mid-20th century. Their sightings and manoeuvres with civilian and military aircraft increased. One of the flying saucers was tracked over France in 1979, and one was accurately filmed in the United States in 1983. However, even in the early years of the 21st century, it was not possible to confirm the existence of living creatures inside them." Commander Briggs interrupted, appreciating, "Excellent. The important thing now is that these flying saucers have appeared intensively and aggressively over the Thornfield Genetics Research Facility." Nathan raised his eyebrows and Commander Briggs continued. It all started exactly 3 days ago when the power suddenly went out in the entire facility. When one of the workers exited the facility, he witnessed a clear flying saucer hovering around the facility. But the internal monitoring devices failed to detect it, despite it being visible to the naked eye. Before its dimensions could be verified, it disappeared immediately. Commander Briggs fell silent, as did Nathan, and then she continued. This event is referred to as peaceful aggression. However, just 2 hours later, the saucer reappeared, surrounded by a group of red spheres. The power went out again, and the defense systems attempted to hit the flying saucer with laser beams, but all failed despite the exceptional skills of the defense personnel. This time, the tube supplying the facility's devices with the necessary ionic energy suddenly exploded. Immediately after the explosion, the saucer and the surrounding objects disappeared. Commander Briggs paused for a moment, and Nathan felt tension coursing through his facial muscles. Commander Briggs continued. The tube was replaced, and the next day the same thing happened. The power went out, and before the security personnel could detect any strange objects, a flying saucer suddenly appeared above the base. This time, our fighter jets were ready and equipped with the latest laser-firing devices. One of them pursued the saucer, and the pilot swore that the laser beam he fired at the saucer hit it. Nevertheless, it was unaffected, and the tube exploded for the second time, and the saucer disappeared. Nathan shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The whole situation was mysterious. Since the emergence of these strange objects, which scientists have dubbed flying saucers, none had ever acted aggressively. Commander Briggs continued. Some scientists at our research centre suspect that this is merely a new weapon being used by a hostile nation that seeks to create confusion and delay the research our scientists are conducting to advance the field of genetics. However, there is no evidence to suggest. Commander Briggs fell silent for a moment, then smiled and said, Perhaps this matter is beyond your scope, Commander, but I don't know why your name always comes to mind whenever we face a mysterious situation. In any case, I will wait for a comprehensive report from you about the situation there. Good luck. The conversation ended, and Commander Nathan turned off the communication device, leaning back in his seat as he pondered why Commander Briggs had chosen him for this particular mission. He believed that the task required an expert in the affairs of these extraterrestrial bodies. What could a scientific intelligence officer do against an enemy whose nature was unknown? His thoughts were interrupted by the pilot's voice saying, "We have arrived, sir. Please ensure your seatbelt is fastened." Immediately, the helicopter landed among 3 mountains where the Thornfield Genetics Research Facility was located. As Commander Nathan stepped out, a man in his 50s approached him, exuding calmness. He said, "Welcome to the Thornfield Genetics Research Facility, Commander. I am Dr. Felix Hartley, the Deputy Director. Dr. Naomi Harper, the Facility Director, would have welcomed you herself, but she is overseeing the repair of the energy tube." Nathan raised his eyebrows in surprise and asked, "Has the tube been damaged again?" Dr. Hartley smiled and replied, "Not yet, but we are surrounding the tube with a network of magnetic material to prevent the radiation emitted by the flying saucer from reaching it." Nathan asked with interest, "Do you mean that the flying saucer emits some kind of radiation towards the tube every time?" Dr. Hartley shrugged and said, "We haven't confirmed that yet, but it's the only possible hypothesis." He then took Nathan by the arm, leading him inside the facility while continuing. "And perhaps this network is a test of the capabilities of the creatures piloting that flying saucer, whatever they may be." Nathan furrowed his brow in thought and said, "Yes, whatever the attack may be." The sun was beginning to set when Commander Nathan turned to the man sitting next to him and asked, "Do you think the flying saucer will reappear tonight, Dr. Hartley?" Dr. Hartley pursed his lips and said, "Perhaps, although I hope it does appear so we can test the strength of our defensive network." Behind them, a soft female voice said, "As for me, I do not wish for that at all." The two turned to the source of the voice and saw a slender woman nearing 50. her features indicating that she had once possessed remarkable beauty in her youth. She approached them and extended her hand to Nathan, saying, "Welcome, Commander Dean, if my memory serves me right." Nathan shook the woman's hand, smiling, while Dr. Hartley said, "I present to you the project leader and facility director, Dr. Naomi Harper." Dr. Harper smiled and said as she sat in a nearby chair, "I wanted to welcome you, Commander, but I hope you will accept my apologies, as I was personally overseeing the preparation of the defensive magnetic network around the energy tube." Nathan returned the smile, saying, "No worries, ma'am. Do you think this method will prevent the flying saucer from destroying the tube this time?" Dr. Harper shrugged and said, "Perhaps this is all we can do for now. And maybe..." Suddenly she stopped speaking as the power in the entire facility went out, plunging everything into darkness. Dr. Hartley jumped from his seat, exclaiming angrily, "Damn it! That cursed saucer doesn't give us a moment of peace between attacks." Dr. Harper remained silent, but her breathing was audible, indicating her deep anxiety. Nathan rushed to the window, gazing at the dark sky scattered with stars. But where was the flying saucer? He couldn't finish his question when he raised his eyebrows in astonishment and shock as a flying saucer suddenly appeared in the sky as if it had jumped from thin air. Nathan muttered in a low voice, "Impossible, this is magic." The saucer was rotating around itself in a calm, showy manner. Dr. Hartley, frustrated, shouted in a loud voice, "Open fire! Shoot that thing!" The defense personnel heard the command, and Nathan saw two beams of radiation piercing the sky towards the saucer. But the latter did not catch fire, nor did it seem to be hit at all. It continued its calm, showy rotation, and then quietly moved towards the energy tube. Dr. Harper shouted, extending her hand forward as if trying to grab it and stop it. "No, don't, no!" The saucer paused above the tube, and a painful explosion occurred, scattering fragments that glistened under the moonlight. The saucer continued its calm rotation for a few moments, then suddenly disappeared, as if it had never been there at all, and the power returned to the facility. Dr. Hartley sank into his chair, his face covered in sweat. Dr. Harper, trembling, whispered, "This is unbearable. These creatures are toying with us." Nathan was staring out the window at where the tube had been moments before, now a scene of destruction and scattered debris. He whispered to himself, "There must be an explanation. There must be." The next day, Nathan was walking through the corridors of the facility, his mind churning with thoughts. He needed help, he needed his team. He contacted MI6 headquarters immediately. Within hours, his call was answered. Dr. Ramsay Clark, the behavioural psychologist, arrived first, having taken a fast jet from Oxford. He met Nathan in the main conference room. "Nate," Ramsay said, shaking his hand firmly. "Commander Briggs briefed me on the way here, flying saucers destroying energy tubes. This is extraordinary." "That's one word for it," Nathan replied. "I need your expertise, Ramsay. The staff here are terrified. Dr. Harper is on the verge of ordering an evacuation. If that happens, we lose any chance of understanding what's really going on." Ramsay pulled out his tablet. "I'll begin interviewing the staff immediately. Psychological profiles, stress responses, inconsistencies in testimonies. If there's something human behind this, I'll find it." Shortly after, Dr. Mark Hamilton arrived, the weapons scientist bristling with energy despite the long journey. "Right, where's this mysterious saucer then? Let me have a look at your defense systems. If they're using some kind of electromagnetic pulse weapon to knock out your power, I should be able to trace it." Hartley, frustrated, shouted in a loud voice, "Open fire! Shoot that thing!" The defense personnel heard the command, and Nathan saw two beams of radiation piercing the sky towards the saucer. But the latter did not catch fire, nor did it seem to be hit at all. It continued its calm, showy rotation, and then quietly moved towards the energy tube. Dr. Harper shouted, extending her hand forward as if trying to grab it and stop it. No, don't, no! The saucer paused above the tube, and a painful explosion occurred, scattering fragments that glistened under the moonlight. The saucer continued its calm rotation for a few moments, then suddenly disappeared as if it had never been there at all, and the power returned to the facility. Dr. Hartley sank into his chair, his face covered in sweat. Dr. Harper, trembling, whispered, "This is unbearable. These creatures are toying with us." Nathan was staring out the window at where the tube had been moments before, now a scene of destruction and scattered debris. He whispered to himself, "There must be an explanation. There must be." The next day, Nathan was walking through the corridors of the facility, his mind churning with thoughts. He needed help, he needed his team. He contacted MI6 headquarters immediately. Within hours, his call was answered. Dr. Ramsay Clark, the behavioural psychologist, arrived first, having taken a fast jet from Oxford. He met Nathan in the main conference room. "Nate," Ramsay said, shaking his hand firmly. "Commander Briggs briefed me on the way here. Flying saucers destroying energy tubes? This is extraordinary." "That's one word for it," Nathan replied. "I need your expertise, Ramsay. The staff here are terrified. Dr. Harper is on the verge of ordering an evacuation. If that happens, we lose any chance of understanding what's really going on." Ramsay pulled out his tablet. "I'll begin interviewing the staff immediately. Psychological profiles, stress responses, inconsistencies in testimonies. If there's something human behind this, I'll find it." Shortly after, Dr. Mark Hamilton arrived, the weapons scientist bristling with energy despite the long journey. "Right, where's this mysterious saucer then? Let me have a look at your defence systems. If they're using some kind of electromagnetic pulse weapon to knock out your power, I should be able to trace it." Professor Sebastian Reed was the last to arrive, the elderly astronomer looking concerned but intensely curious. "Nathan, this is either the most significant event in human history, or it's the most elaborate hoax I've ever encountered. Either way, we must get to the bottom of it." Sarah Lawson Dean, Nathan's wife and senior intelligence analyst, arrived via secure video link from GCHQ. Her image appeared on the holographic display in the conference room. "Nathan, I've been analysing satellite data over the Highlands. Nothing unusual detected during the times of the saucer appearances. No heat signatures. No electromagnetic anomalies. Whatever's appearing is invisible to our orbital assets." Nathan assembled his team and the facility staff in the main conference room. Dr. Harper stood at the front, looking exhausted. "Commander Dean, I must be frank with you. My staff are frightened. We've had 3 violent incidents in as many days. I'm seriously considering recommending to the Ministry of Defence that we evacuate and relocate this facility." Nathan nodded slowly. "I understand your concern, Doctor, but I ask you to give us one more night. My team and I believe we can solve this mystery. If we're right, there will be no further incidents." Dr. Hartley spoke up. "And if you're wrong, if these beings attack again, then you'll have every justification to evacuate," Nathan replied. "But I don't think they will attack again, because I don't think they exist at all." The room erupted in confused murmurs. Dr. Harper raised her hand for silence. "What do you mean, Commander?" "Give me until nightfall," Nathan said. "I'll explain everything then. But first I need to examine the wreckage of the energy tubes. And I need to speak with your electrical systems supervisor." "What's his name?" Dr. Harper consulted her tablet. "Malcolm Grant. He's been with us for 3 years. Excellent technician." "I'd like to speak with him privately," Nathan said, "and I need access to his workstation." Dr. Harper frowned. "You don't suspect Malcolm, do you? He's been completely reliable." "I suspect everyone until I have proof otherwise," Nathan replied. "That's how investigations work." While Nathan made his preparations, Dr. Ramsay Clark was conducting his psychological interviews. One by one, staff members came to speak with him. Most showed predictable signs of stress and fear. But one stood out. Malcolm Grant, the electrical systems supervisor, was too calm, too detached. While others trembled and spoke in worried tones, Malcolm answered questions with clinical precision. His responses were correct, but emotionless. Ramsey made notes on his tablet. After the interview concluded, he found Nathan in the corridor. "Your instincts were right. Malcolm Grant is hiding something. His affect is all wrong. He's either in shock or he's involved." "Or both," Nathan suggested. "Let's search his workstation." They entered the electrical control room. It overlooked Thunder Valley through a large window. Mark Hamilton joined them, carrying a scanner. He swept it over the window frame. "Bloody hell," Mark whispered. "Look at this." He pointed to what appeared to be decorative etchings on the window frame. "These aren't decorations. These are precision machined grooves for mounting laser projectors." He scanned deeper. "Residual photonic discharge. Someone's been projecting something from this room. Something complex. Something that would require multiple laser beams intersecting at specific points." Nathan felt pieces clicking into place. Holographic projection. "Exactly," Mark confirmed. "A sophisticated one. Military-grade technology." Professor Reed examined a cabinet in the corner. Inside was equipment that didn't belong to the facility's standard systems. Holographic control computer. Wireless transmitter. "This is advanced technology, Nathan. Very advanced, Mom." Nathan found a small safe under Malcolm's desk. He picked the lock, a skill he'd learned in special reconnaissance. Inside were documents detailing mineral surveys of Thunder Valley, exploration rights applications, and payment schedules from shell companies. "It's not about genetics research at all," Nathan said slowly. "It's about what's under this valley. Someone wants this land." Sarah's voice came through his earpiece. "Nathan, I've just discovered something. A mining company called Highland Minerals Limited submitted an application to the Scottish government 3 days ago requesting exploration rights for Thunder Valley. The timing is suspicious." "Very suspicious," Nathan agreed. "Can you trace the company's ownership?" "Working on it. Give me an hour." Nathan turned to his team. "Here's what I think happened. Someone discovered valuable resources under Thunder Valley, but the Thornfield facility is in the way. So they created a threat to force evacuation. Malcolm Grant is their inside man. He's been using holographic projection technology to create the illusion of flying saucers." "But the explosions were real," Dr. Hartley protested, having followed them to the control room. "The tubes were destroyed." "By planted explosives," Nathan explained. "Triggered remotely. Malcolm had access to the tubes during maintenance. He could have planted small devices, then detonated them during the saucer attacks to make it look like an assault from above." Mark was examining the wreckage of the latest destroyed tube. He found it, a tiny disc barely half a centimetre across. "Wireless detonator. Silicon chip explosive device. Very sophisticated. And look," he pointed to scarring on the metal. "This was attached recently, within the last week." Everything was falling into place, but Nathan needed one more piece of evidence. He needed to catch Malcolm in the act. As night fell over Thunder Valley, Nathan set his trap. He disabled Malcolm's detonation capability without the technician knowing. He'd positioned Mark in the defense room with instructions to aim an ordinary laser at the center of any holographic image that appeared. And he'd hidden himself in the storage closet adjacent to the electrical control room. Through a crack in the door, Nathan watched Malcolm enter his workstation. The technician looked nervous, checking his watch repeatedly. At midnight, Malcolm opened the cabinet containing the holographic equipment. His hands moved over the controls. Outside the window, a flying saucer appeared in the sky. It was perfect, convincing, exactly as witnesses had described. But Mark, watching from the defense room, aimed his laser beam directly at the center of the apparition. The saucer flickered and disappeared. Malcolm's face showed panic. He frantically adjusted controls. The saucer reappeared, but Mark's laser found it again. It vanished once more. Malcolm grabbed his mobile phone and dialed. "We have a problem," he said urgently. "They've found the equipment. They know." "What do you want me to do?" He listened, his expression growing more desperate. "But if I run now, they'll know for certain it was me. There might still be a way to..." Nathan burst from the closet. "There isn't, Malcolm." Malcolm spun around, his hand darting to his pocket. Nathan moved instantly, crossing the space between them in 2 strides. He grabbed Malcolm's wrist before the technician could draw the weapon he'd been reaching for. A brief struggle ensued, but Nathan's special reconnaissance training made it one-sided. Within seconds, Malcolm was face down on the floor, Nathan's knee in his back, hands secured. Dr. Ramsey Clark entered moments later. "All secure?" "All secure," Nathan confirmed. "Get Dr. Harper. It's time to explain everything." They assembled in the conference room. Nathan's team, Dr. Harper, Dr. Hartley, and the senior facility staff. Malcolm Grant sat in a chair, defeated and silent. Sarah's image appeared on the holographic display, and she looked grim. "I've traced Highland Minerals' ownership," Sarah reported. "It's a subsidiary of a larger conglomerate called Northern Resources Corporation. They've been buying up mineral rights across Scotland. And Nathan, the geological surveys show Thunder Valley sits on massive deposits of rare earth elements, worth potentially billions of pounds." Nathan addressed the assembled group. "Ladies and gentlemen, the flying saucers were never real. They were sophisticated holographic projections created by Malcolm Grant, working on behalf of Northern Resources Corporation." Dr. Harper gasped. "But Malcolm, why?" "We trusted you." Malcolm finally spoke, his voice hollow. "They promised me money, a position in their company. I have family debts, medical bills I couldn't afford. They said no one would get hurt, it was just about relocating the facility." "No one would get hurt?" Nathan's voice was hard. "What about Shawn Michaels, the night shift worker? He died during your second projection." Malcolm's head snapped up. "I didn't kill Shawn. He died of a heart attack. The medical examiner confirmed it." "Did he?" Nathan turned to the door. "Dr. Walton, would you explain what you found?" Dr. Andrew Walton entered. He was a distinguished forensic pathologist from the University of Edinburgh, brought in by Nathan specifically for this investigation. The elderly doctor carried a tablet displaying microscopic imagery. "When I first examined Mr. Michael's body, I noted signs of cardiac arrest," Dr. Walton explained in his precise Scottish accent. "However, Commander Dean asked me to conduct a more thorough examination using an ion microscope. What I discovered was remarkable." He displayed the images on the main screen. There was a microscopic entry wound in the 5th intercostal space, directly above the heart. A copper wire, only 1 micron thick, had been inserted into the cardiac tissue. This wire conducted an electrical current directly to the heart, causing it to accelerate to an impossible rate before stopping completely. The room erupted in shocked exclamations. Malcolm's face had gone ashen. "Shawn Michaels witnessed you setting up the holographic projection," Nathan continued. "He came to investigate, probably thought you were working late on repairs. You couldn't let him expose you, so you killed him. You struck him on the back of the neck to incapacitate him, then used your electrical expertise to simulate a heart attack." Dr. Walton nodded. "The technique was sophisticated, almost undetectable without specialized equipment. The blow to the neck left no visible mark due to the rapid cardiac arrhythmia that followed, which caused massive tissue congestion throughout the body." Malcolm slumped in his chair. He wasn't supposed to be there. It was supposed to be an empty shift. "I didn't want to hurt anyone. I panicked." "You murdered a colleague," Dr. Harper said coldly. "You terrorized my entire staff. You tried to destroy research that could help millions of people. All for money." "It wasn't just money," Malcolm shouted suddenly. "Do you have any idea what those mineral deposits are worth? Billions. The people I work for, they're powerful. They promised me a future. security for my family. What was I supposed to do? Spend my life as a technician, barely making enough to survive? You were supposed to be honest, Nathan said quietly. You were supposed to not murder people. Those were your choices, Malcolm. You made them. Now you'll face the consequences. Dr. Ramsay Clark spoke up. Commander Dean, may I add something? At Nathan's nod, he continued. I've been studying Malcolm's psychological profile throughout this investigation. He shows classic signs of rationalization and moral disengagement. Northern Resources specifically targeted him because they knew he was vulnerable. They likely researched all the facility staff, looking for someone with financial problems, family issues, someone who could be manipulated. Mark Hamilton stood. And those people are about to have a very bad day. I've been analysing the mobile phone Malcolm used. I've traced every call he made in the past month. The network leads directly to 3 members of Northern Resources Board of Directors. We have recordings, financial transfers, the whole conspiracy. Sarah's image spoke from the screen. Commander Briggs has been coordinating with Police Scotland and the Crown Prosecution Service. As of 2 hours ago, arrest warrants were issued for the entire senior management of Northern Resources Corporation. They're being taken into custody as we speak. Professor Reed added, I've also been in contact with the Scottish Government. Northern Resources' application for exploration rights has been rejected, and they've been banned from any future applications. Thunder Valley will remain protected land, reserved for scientific research. Dr. Harper visibly relaxed, tears of relief in her eyes. Thank you. All of you. You've saved our facility, our research. Nathan addressed the assembled staff. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been through a traumatic experience. Dr. Clark will be available for anyone who needs psychological support. I know some of you are frightened, some of you are ready to leave. That's completely understandable, but I want you to know that what you're doing here is important. Genetic research has the potential to cure diseases, solve problems we can't even imagine yet. Don't let criminals and con artists make you doubt the value of your work. The staff applauded, some wiping away tears. Dr. Hartley stood and said, Commander, I must confess I feel foolish. I was so convinced I'd seen an alien spacecraft. To learn it was just a hologram is embarrassing. Nathan smiled. Don't be embarrassed, Doctor. The hologram was specifically designed to fool you. Northern Resources used military-grade technology, employed sophisticated deception techniques. You saw what you were meant to see. There's no shame in that. But Nathan kept one detail to himself, something he'd discuss only with his team later. During his investigation, he'd found geological anomalies in the survey data that didn't match known mineral deposits. There was something else under Thunder Valley, something the scans couldn't properly identify, something that might actually be extraterrestrial in origin. But that was a mystery for another day. As the meeting broke up and staff members returned to their quarters, Nathan stepped outside onto the observation deck. Thunder Valley stretched out before him under a canopy of stars. The air was cool and clean, free of the oppression that had hung over the facility for the past 3 days. Dr. Ramsay Clark joined him, offering a cup of coffee. You did good work here, Nate. Solved the case, caught the killer, dismantled a corporate conspiracy. Nathan chuckled. Sometimes I wonder what it would be like to have a simple job, something straightforward. You'd be bored within a week, Ramsay replied. This is what you were made for. Speaking of which, I've been thinking about Malcolm. He's going to spend a long time in prison, probably the rest of his life given he killed someone. But I can't help feeling some sympathy. He was exploited, manipulated. I understand, Nathan said. But sympathy doesn't excuse murder. Shawn Michaels had a family too. He had a life, dreams, people who loved him. Malcolm took that away. Professor Sebastian Reed and Mark Hamilton joined them on the deck. The astronomer gazed up at the stars. You know what strikes me about this case? how quickly people are willing to believe in alien visitors. Malcolm's deception worked because people wanted to believe. The staff applauded, some wiping away tears. Dr. Hartley stood and said, "Commander, I must confess I feel foolish. I was so convinced I'd seen an alien spacecraft. To learn it was just a hologram is embarrassing." Nathan smiled. "Don't be embarrassed, Doctor. The hologram was specifically designed to fool you. Northern Resources used military-grade technology, employed sophisticated deception techniques. You saw what you were meant to see. There's no shame in that." But Nathan kept one detail to himself, something he'd discuss only with his team later. During his investigation, he'd found geological anomalies in the survey data that didn't match known mineral deposits. There was something else under Thunder Valley, something the scans couldn't properly identify, something that might actually be extraterrestrial in origin. But that was a mystery for another day. "Do you believe we're alone?" Nathan asked. Sebastian smiled. "Not for a moment. The universe is vast beyond comprehension. But I also believe that if alien visitors were coming to Earth, they wouldn't be playing games with holographic projections. They'd be here with purpose, with technology we couldn't possibly match." Mark added, "And that's what makes cases like this so dangerous. By faking extraterrestrial encounters, people like Northern Resources make it harder for us to recognise the real thing if it ever happens." They stood in comfortable silence, 4 colleagues under an infinite sky, contemplating mysteries both solved and unsolved. The next morning, Nathan prepared to leave Thunder Valley. Dr. Harper insisted on accompanying him to the helicopter landing pad. As they walked through the facility complex, Nathan could already sense the change in atmosphere. Scientists moved with lighter steps, spoke with restored enthusiasm. "Commander Dean," Dr. Harper said as they reached the helipad, "I owe you an apology. When you first arrived, I was dismissive. I thought the situation didn't warrant such a high-level response. I was wrong. You saved lives here. You saved our research." Nathan smiled. "No apology necessary, Doctor. You were protecting your people. That shows good leadership. Still, I should have trusted you from the beginning. Dr. Walton spoke very highly of you. He said you were one of his brightest students." "Dr. Walton is too kind," Nathan replied. The helicopter appeared in the distance, growing larger as it approached. Dr. Harper extended her hand. "If you ever need anything, Commander, if MI6 ever requires access to our genetic research or expertise, you need only ask." Nathan shook her hand firmly. "I'll remember that. Take care of your people, Doctor." He boarded the helicopter and settled into his seat. As the aircraft lifted off, he looked down at Thunder Valley one last time. The facility looked peaceful in the morning sun, a place of science and discovery once more. His communicator buzzed. Commander Helen Briggs's face appeared on the screen. "Commander Dean, excellent work. I've read your full report. The conspiracy was larger than we initially thought. Northern Resources had connections to 3 other mineral exploitation companies. Your evidence has given us the leverage to dismantle their entire operation." "What about the board members?" Nathan asked. "In custody, all of them. They're facing charges of conspiracy to commit fraud, corporate espionage, accessory to murder. Malcolm Grant has agreed to testify against them in exchange for a reduced sentence." Nathan nodded. "And the facility?" "Secured and protected. The Ministry of Defence has increased security funding. We're also conducting audits of all other remote research installations. Your recommendation for enhanced background checks has been accepted." "Glad to hear it. What's next for the team?" Commander Briggs smiled slightly. "You tell me, Commander. You've earned some rest. Take a few days. Spend time with Sarah and Naomi." Nathan thought of his wife and daughter waiting for him in their London flat. "That sounds perfect. Thank you." "You've earned it, Nathan." Briggs out. The screen went dark and Nathan leaned back in his seat. Another successful mission. but success always came at a cost. He thought about Shawn Michaels, the night shift worker who had died simply for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. He thought about Malcolm, a man who had made terrible choices but who had also been deliberately exploited. He thought about Dr. Harper and her staff, who had experienced real terror because of corporate greed. The helicopter flew south, toward London, toward home. Nathan watched the landscape pass beneath him, the Scottish Highlands giving way to the Lake District, then the rolling hills of northern England, Tibur. His communicator buzzed again. This time it was Sarah. Her face appeared on the screen, smiling with relief. "Nathan, how did it go?" "Case solved. Flying saucers defeated. Scotland saved from corporate villains." Sarah laughed. "My hero. When will you be home?" 3 hours. How's Naomi?" "Missing her father. She wants to know if you fought any aliens." Nathan smiled. "Tell her the aliens were holographic, but the adventure was real." "She'll love that. See you soon, darling." The call ended, and Nathan felt the familiar warmth of anticipation. Home, family, the simple pleasures that made all the danger and difficulty worthwhile. But as the helicopter crossed into English airspace, Nathan's mind returned to that geological anomaly he'd noticed in the survey data. The readings that didn't match known minerals, the density patterns that suggested something artificial, something ancient. Buried deep beneath Thunder Valley, Northern Resources had been looking for rare Earth elements. But what if they'd found something else? Something they didn't understand? What if the real mystery wasn't the fake flying saucers, but what lay beneath the ground that had attracted attention in the first place? Nathan made a mental note to discuss it with Professor Reed, quietly, discreetly, without alarming anyone. Because if there was something genuinely extraterrestrial under Thunder Valley, they needed to understand it before anyone else tried to exploit it. But that was a problem for another day. Today, he was going home. The helicopter landed at Farnborough Airfield 3 hours later. Lieutenant Sawyer was waiting with the rocket car, smiling broadly. "Welcome back, Commander. A successful mission, I hear." "You hear correctly, Lieutenant. Take me home, please." The rocket car slipped smoothly into London's traffic network. Nathan watched the city wake up around him. Street vendors opening their stalls, office workers hurrying to their destinations, children walking to school, life continuing its normal rhythms, unaware of the crisis that had been averted in the Scottish Highlands. They pulled up in front of Nathan's building in Kensington 20 minutes later. Nathan thanked Lieutenant Sawyer and took the lift to the 15th floor. He pressed his palm against the biometric lock on his flat door. It recognised him instantly, the door sliding open with a soft hiss. "Nathan!" Sarah appeared from the kitchen, her face lighting up with joy. She crossed the room quickly and embraced him tightly. "You're home. I missed you so much." Nathan held his wife close, breathing in the familiar scent of her hair. "Missed you too. Where's Naomi?" "Still asleep. She stays up too late reading." Northern Resources had been looking for rare Earth elements, but what if they'd found something else? Something they didn't understand? What if the real mystery wasn't the fake flying saucers, but what lay beneath the ground that had attracted attention in the first place? Nathan made a mental note to discuss it with Professor Reed. Quietly, discreetly, without alarming anyone. Because if there was something genuinely extraterrestrial under Thunder Valley, they needed to understand it before anyone else tried to exploit it. But that was a problem for another day. Today he was going home. A sleepy voice came from the hallway. "Daddy?" Naomi Dean, 8 years old with her mother's dark eyes and her father's determined chin, padded into the kitchen in her pyjamas. "You're home!" Nathan scooped her up, holding her close. "I'm home, sweetheart. Did you miss me?" "So much. Mummy said you were chasing flying saucers." "Did you catch them?" Nathan exchanged an amused glance with Sarah. "Not quite flying saucers, but I did catch some bad people who were pretending to be from space." Naomi's eyes went wide. Why would anyone pretend to be from space? To scare people, to make them leave a place where the bad people wanted to look for treasure. That's mean, Naomi declared with the absolute certainty of childhood. Real space aliens wouldn't be mean. They'd probably be nice and want to be friends. Nathan smiled. I hope you're right, sweetheart. I really do. They had breakfast together, and Nathan listened as Naomi told him everything that had happened while he was away. She'd learned a new song at school. She'd finished reading a book about dinosaurs. She'd drawn a picture of the family that her teacher had hung on the classroom wall. The simple, normal details of life. After breakfast, Sarah insisted he sleep. Nathan didn't argue. He fell into bed and was unconscious within seconds. He woke in the late afternoon to find Sarah sitting in a chair by the bed, reading. She smiled when she saw his eyes open. Feel better? Much. How long was I out? 5 hours. You needed it. Sarah closed her book and moved to sit beside him on the bed. Nathan, I want to ask you something. Always? This job, MI6, the constant missions and dangers. Are you happy doing it? When I was in the RAF, I flew jets. I loved it. But I always felt like something was missing. Then I transferred to special reconnaissance, and I started understanding intelligence work, investigation. And now, with MI6's Special Scientific Intelligence Division, I get to solve puzzles that matter. Every mission I complete, I know I've made a real difference. Dr. Harper and her scientists get to continue their research because we stopped a conspiracy. That matters to me. So yes, Sarah, I'm happy. Sarah nodded slowly. As long as you're sure, because Naomi and I want you happy and fulfilled. But we also want you alive and whole. I know, and I promise you, I'm careful. I have the best team in the country backing me up. He took her hand. Besides, someone has to keep the world safe for our daughter. Sarah leaned in and kissed him. All right, hero. Naomi wants to watch a nature documentary tonight. Try to act excited. Nathan laughed. I'll give the documentary my complete and undivided attention. They spent the evening as a family, watching Naomi's program about the Amazon rainforest, eating dinner together, playing board games. Simple, perfect moments. Later, after Naomi was asleep, Nathan stood on their flat's balcony, looking out over London's glittering lights. Sarah joined him, wrapping a cardigan around her shoulders against the cool evening air. What are you thinking about? She asked. The case. About how people's desire to believe in something extraordinary makes them vulnerable. Northern Resources exploited that. But you don't think we're alone, do you? Nathan looked up at the stars, barely visible through the city's light pollution. No, I don't. The universe is too vast. Somewhere out there, someone else is looking up, wondering the same things we're wondering. Are you afraid of that possibility? No, I'm hopeful. Because if intelligent life exists elsewhere, then maybe existence has more meaning than we've imagined. Sarah squeezed his hand. That's surprisingly philosophical for a man who spent the last few days catching murderers and dismantling corporate conspiracies. Can't I be both pragmatic and philosophical? You can be anything you want, Nathan Dean. They stood together in comfortable silence, looking out over the city, up at the stars, contemplating mysteries both solved and unsolved. 3 days later, Nathan returned to MI6 headquarters in Vauxhall for debriefing. The building was a sleek tower on the Thames, its exterior designed to look like a standard office building. Only the extensive security measures marked it as something more. Nathan took the lift to the 12th floor, where Commander Helen Briggs maintained her offices. Her assistant waved him through immediately. She's expecting you, Commander. Nathan entered to find not just Commander Briggs, but also Ramsay, Mark, and Professor Reed already assembled. Am I late? He asked. Right on time, Helen assured him. I wanted to bring the whole team together for the official debriefing. Helen activated the holographic display, which showed a summary of the Thunder Valley case. First, congratulations to all of you. This was an exceptionally complex investigation, handled with precision and efficiency. Malcolm Grant is currently providing detailed testimony about Northern Resources' operations. We've uncovered at least 3 similar schemes they attempted in other locations over the past 2 years. Nathan smiled. No, I'm hopeful, because if intelligent life exists elsewhere, then maybe existence has more meaning than we've imagined. Sarah squeezed his hand. That's surprisingly philosophical for a man who spent the last few days catching murderers and dismantling corporate conspiracies. Can't I be both pragmatic and philosophical? You can be anything you want, Nathan Dean. They stood together in comfortable silence, looking out over the city, up at the stars, contemplating mysteries both solved and unsolved. Mark spoke up. What about the technology? The holographic projectors Malcolm used were military grade. Where did Northern Resources get them? Helen's expression darkened. The equipment was stolen from a Ministry of Defence research facility 2 years ago. We thought it had been destroyed in a fire. Clearly it was actually stolen and sold on the black market. We're investigating the security breach now. Professor Reed asked, and the mineral rights for Thunder Valley? The Scottish Government has designated the entire valley as a protected research zone. It will remain off limits to commercial exploitation indefinitely. Nathan nodded approvingly. Good. Dr. Harper and her team deserve to work without corporate interference. Now, Helen continued, I want to discuss something else. This case revealed vulnerabilities in how we secure remote research facilities. Nathan, in your report, you made several recommendations. I'm implementing all of them, effective immediately. I'm glad, Nathan said. Ramsey added, that's a good lesson for all intelligence work. We get so focused on external threats that we forget about insider threats. Until someone murders a colleague, Mark interjected. That's when you cross from misguided to monstrous. Agreed, Ramsey said. But Northern Resources knew exactly how to manipulate Malcolm. That level of psychological warfare is deeply concerning. Helen pulled up another display showing Northern Resources' corporate structure. We're investigating that now. The company had at least 2 former intelligence officers on its staff. We believe they were conducting psychological assessments of potential recruits. Nathan leaned forward. Corporate espionage is one thing, but this is intelligence agency methodology applied to commercial interests. Who really owns Northern Resources? Helen's expression was grim. That's the mystery. Multiple layers of shell corporations and offshore holdings. We're tracing the ownership structure, but it's deliberately obscure. Professor Reed spoke thoughtfully. Could this be connected to the Cerulean situation? We know they've been on Earth for years, possibly centuries. The room fell silent. Mark shook his head slowly. It's possible, but I don't see a clear connection. The Ceruleans use technology far beyond anything we can produce. Why would they need rare earth minerals? Unless, Nathan said slowly, they're not looking for the minerals themselves. Maybe they're looking for something else. Something hidden beneath the surface. He pulled up the geological survey data he'd saved from the Thunder Valley investigation. Look at these anomalies. Density patterns that don't match known minerals. Reading that suggests something artificial. Helen typed something on her console. That's unsettling. Professor Reed, could you coordinate with Dr. Harper? Have her run additional scans, specifically looking for anomalies that might not register as mineral deposits. I'll contact her today, Sebastian confirmed. One final item. The Prime Minister's office has asked me to convey their personal thanks. This case could have ended very badly. You prevented that. Well done. As the meeting broke up, Nathan stayed behind. Helen raised an eyebrow. Something else on your mind, Commander? The stolen military equipment. You said it was taken 2 years ago. That's correct. 2 years is a long time to plan an operation. Northern Resources didn't just decide to target Thunder Valley on a whim. That suggests either incredible patience or incredible confidence. Helen studied him. Go on. I think we're looking at this wrong. What if Northern Resources is a testing ground for techniques that could be applied elsewhere? What if this was a proof of concept? Helen was quiet for a moment, then nodded slowly. A new kind of weapon. Fear as a strategic tool. Exactly. If you can create a credible external threat, you can make people abandon positions, installations, even cities. That's a disturbing theory, Nathan. But it makes sense. I'll escalate this to the Joint Intelligence Committee. Nathan stood. Do you think they'll take it seriously? After what just happened? Absolutely. Nathan left headquarters and met Ramsay at a nearby cafe overlooking the Thames. The psychologist was nursing a coffee and staring at his tablet. Did Helen keep you back to discuss the bigger implications? Ramsay asked. How did you know? Because I would have done the same thing. This case has layers we haven't fully peeled back yet. Nathan ordered his own coffee and sat down. Such as, how did Northern Resources know about the mineral deposits before anyone else? Thunder Valley hasn't been surveyed for commercial exploitation in decades. Inside information? Possibly. Or they didn't discover the deposits at all. They created them. Nathan frowned. Created mineral deposits? That's not possible. Isn't it? With advanced enough technology, you could seed an area with specific materials. Create a reason for someone to want the land. You're suggesting the whole thing was an orchestrated test. I don't know. But Nathan, I've been studying the psychological profiles of everyone involved. The Northern Resources executives are too confident. Even under interrogation, they seem almost amused. Nathan considered this. You think they have protection? Or they know something we don't? Nathan, what if the Thunder Valley case isn't closed? Before Nathan could respond, his communicator buzzed. It was Sarah. Her face on the screen looked worried. Nathan, turn on the news, any channel. Nathan pulled up a newsfeed. The headline made his blood run cold. Flying saucers reported over London. Military on high alert. The news footage showed unmistakable disc-shaped objects hovering over the city skyline. They were identical to the holograms that had appeared over Thunder Valley. But these were over the capital, visible to millions of people, and the power was starting to fail across the eastern districts. Ramsay had pulled up the same feed on his tablet. He looked at Nathan, his expression grim. I think we just got our answer about whether this is over. Nathan was already on his feet, pulling up Commander Briggs's direct line. She answered immediately, her face tense. You've seen the news. I have orders. Get to headquarters immediately. If this is what I think it is, we're about to face something much bigger than Thunder Valley. Nathan ended the call and looked at Ramsay. Call Mark and Professor Reed. Tell them to meet us at headquarters in 20 minutes. As they hurried toward Nathan's car, the sky above London grew dark. Not from clouds, but from the shadows of dozens of hovering discs. And Nathan couldn't shake the feeling that everything they'd discovered in Thunder Valley had been preparation for this moment. Someone had tested their methods on a remote facility. Now they were deploying them on a city. The question was, why? As his car merged into London's increasingly panicked traffic, Nathan made a silent promise. Whatever was happening, whoever was behind it, he would find them. He would stop them. He would protect the people of this city, this country. That was his job. That was his purpose. And he would not fail. MI6 headquarters was in controlled chaos when Nathan and Ramsay arrived. Agents rushed between offices. Holographic displays showed multiple feeds of the sources over London, and communication channels buzzed with reports. Commander Helen Briggs stood in the main operations centre, coordinating responses. She spotted Nathan and waved him over. Commander, glad you're here. We have a situation that's evolving rapidly. The main display showed a map of London with 14 red dots marking saucer locations. They appeared simultaneously 20 minutes ago. Unlike Thunder Valley, these are causing selective power outages. East End is without power. Communications are disrupted in South London. Mark Hamilton rushed in, slightly out of breath. Sorry I'm late, traffic is mental. What's the situation? Helen briefed him quickly, then added, Mark, I need you to analyse the power disruption pattern. Mark pulled up the power grid on a secondary display and overlaid it with the saucer positions. His eyes widened. Bloody hell, look at this. They're positioned over critical infrastructure. Power stations, communication hubs, water treatment facilities. If they disable all of these simultaneously, London goes dark. Completely. Professor Reed arrived moments later. Commander, I've been receiving reports from colleagues across the country. Similar sightings in Edinburgh, Manchester, and Birmingham. This isn't isolated to London. This is nationwide. Nathan's expression was grim. Are they holograms like in Thunder Valley? That's the question, Helen said. If they are, someone is projecting them from multiple locations simultaneously. That would require enormous coordination. Sarah's face appeared on one of the displays, connecting from GCHQ. Nathan, we're detecting something else. Energy readings from multiple locations across the UK. Underground facilities that weren't there before or weren't active. Something is powering up. Nathan felt his suspicions crystallise into certainty. It's not Northern Resources, it never was. They were a distraction. The real threat is what's underground. What we detected beneath Thunder Valley. Helen processed this quickly. You're saying Thunder Valley was just one site? One of many. And whatever the Ceruleans buried there, it's activating now. Mark was frantically typing. If you're right, if there's Cerulean technology activating across the UK, it could be generating these holographic projections, broadcasting them to multiple locations simultaneously. Nathan turned to the team. We need to get back to Thunder Valley. If that's the primary site, if that's where this is being controlled from, we need to shut it down. Before anyone could respond, every screen in the operations centre went dark. Emergency lights kicked in. Then the screens flickered back to life, but instead of their normal displays, they all showed the same image. A cerulean face. The blue-skinned alien regarded them with crimson eyes. When it spoke, its voice was translated into perfect English. People of Earth, for millennia we have walked among you. The installations we placed across your world are now active. They will evaluate your civilization's worthiness. You have 72 hours. The image vanished. The operations centre erupted in shocked exclamations. Helen's voice cut through the noise. Quiet! Everyone, focus. She turned to Nathan. Commander, I'm authorising you to take whatever actions you deem necessary. If this is real, if we're facing actual Cerulean technology, we need to understand it. Get to Thunder Valley. Find out what's buried there. And Nathan, she paused, find out how to stop it. Nathan looked at his team. Ramsey, Mark, Professor Reed. They all nodded. We leave in 1 hour, Nathan said. Whatever's waiting for us in Thunder Valley, we're going to face it, and we're going to protect this planet. As they dispersed to prepare, Nathan took one moment to call Sarah. Her face appeared on his communicator, fear and determination mixed in her expression. Nathan, what's happening? First contact. Real this time. I have to go back to Thunder Valley. I know, be careful, come home to us. Always, I love you, both of you. We love you too. Save the world, Nathan. The call ended. Nathan gathered his equipment and headed for the roof, where a helicopter was being prepared for immediate departure. Thunder Valley was waiting, and with it, answers to questions humanity had been asking for millennia. The adventure was just beginning. If you enjoyed the video, please do like and subscribe.